I saw the previous startup for quite a few couple of bucks, and yeah, the three of us started a lending business with that capital, and then as we're running the business, we got to experience firsthand the challenges that lenders face in the industry, and they are a shit ton of challenges. And being technical savvy that we are, decided to build software solutions to solve most of these challenges that were being faced out there in the industry. And hence, LendBox was born, solving the problems that lenders face out there. And since the initial inception of the idea, the business model has evolved over and over. And as Malaysia gave you the introduction, we're now a geolocation-based marketplace for lenders and borrowers to meet each other and get loans and give out loans from each other, as well as a loan management system for lenders. Yeah, that's basically the backstory of LendBox, or some of it at least.
So yeah, I think that's interesting, and I'm already curious. Like, did you guys at any point partner with? I think there's also a LendBox in India, or you're operating as a partner with them.
No.
What's weird is we have no relation whatsoever to LendBox India, and we came up with the name, registered the domain name LendBox.io, and then found out a couple months later that there's LendBox India already, which existed. Yeah, we already did everything, all the business registration and whatnot, after we found out that there's LendBox India. So we had to go with it and stick with LendBox.io.
Yeah.
But yeah, we have no relation with the Indian LendBox.
Wow, that's nice. I guess I feel like you have a lot of. I mean, like you obviously have like your twins out there with similar minds, which is something interesting.
But we're the better ones.
We're the better. When we get in big enough, which we will, we'll buy those guys just to make them disappear.
What background did you start with? Did you have enough capital to really start this initiative?
So starting with the lending business, it was called Upper Loans at the time. We did have enough capital. I'm not going to disclose the exact amount, but it was a lot of capital.
No, not of course.
And then coming to LendBox. So with LendBox, we did approach a couple of investors, and we managed to raise a pre-seed funding of $60,000, which we've been using to run and grow the business for the past couple of months. And in the next few months, we're pushing to raise our seed round. So yeah, that's basically in terms of the funding that we've been using with LendBox.
Entirely, all three of you are the entire staff of the start of your.
No.
Okay.
So the three of us are the founders.
Like the top executive.
Actually, we're literally missing one person would be the entire board of LendBox. Okay. But yeah, the three of us are the co-founders of LendBox, and we have a team of about 13 people now, mixed with full-time employees as well as interns. Different departments, the technical department, operations department, finance department. So it's somewhat of a small team that we have, but yeah, it's week back.
We're getting there.
Okay. So if you might do, all three of you have a background purely in finance, or you've all specialized in different areas of your interests?
You can go ahead, India.
Personally, me being the chief technology officer, I'm specialized in tech, everything technical on the team, being it building out the software, the features, managing the technical team and all that.
I think a question was like skills, like what do we do?
What are your backgrounds? What are your specialties?
Exactly.
No, I think it means like you have a degree, stuff like that? I think
Like qualification.
qualifications.
It depends on whatever you choose. If
Yeah.
whatever you have a background in or your
actually,
stronghold, your interest.
All three of us are currently students.
Yeah, computer systems
Computer
engineering.
systems engineering. So, but Mundia has more experience in the development side. For us, we're trying to diversify. Diversify.
Right way, dear.
Yeah, okay.
That's
Yeah.
the one.
That's the one. Into other fields that can help us run the business better.
Yeah, something which the economic concept, where regions that are good at producing something focus on that. Like Mundia is by far the best developer on the team, and so Mundia focuses on that, and so it's constant learning. So we're upping our skills in business development, sales, marketing, all that stuff. Everything you see is managed by the team. When it's a startup, nothing just happens. So yeah, everything that we need to learn how to do these things. And so background is what we were doing last week. That's the background. Yeah. So yeah, it's constant development. Yeah, that's what I'd say.
Do you intend to merge your technical, like your IT skills with finance eventually, or you'd rather you look towards building onto your IT competencies and trying to merge with the financial problems out there?
Okay. For me, I want to upskill in my finances because it's extremely important in my financial skill, because it's extremely important for me to properly give LendBox value. Yeah. So I want to, once I finish, though for this period I do have to upskill in my development side only because of my university requirements. But afterwards, I intend on doing something like a CIMA or an MBA so that I can properly do what's required of me. Yeah. So
Essentially the same thing, because we really are trying to live running a company. We can't all be devs. Somebody has to do the books, somebody has to do the sales, the marketing, operations, HR, and us being the executives have to really strategically split ourselves. So yes, we do have backgrounds in development and technical skills, but we decided to leave it for the technical leads, but himself Mundia, and we'll try to focus on other aspects as we go. Right now, not yet. It's because of school. Yeah, but it's something I plan on working on.
Okay,
Yes,
that's interesting. I can see the hoodies are standing out. Like, I'm sure there's a story behind them.
Brand
Unfortunately,
awareness.
Malaysia doesn't have his.
That
humble
Oh,
meme.
okay. Okay. Yeah. So talking about like co-founding and how like the informal sector is or self-employment is like out there in Zambia. Could you just share maybe like how your journey has been, or maybe how it was just at the very start, and maybe what are some of the challenges that you think you faced that actually might be common to other to other people that are starting up businesses, and how did you rise past those challenges?
Okay, so
oh,
with
yeah, you go
with
ahead.
regards to co-founding, basically, if you do come up with an idea for a startup and you are looking for a co-founder, you'd want to find a co-founder who complements your abilities and your skills, things that you lack, that your co-founder can bring to the table, and you can work together and be one cohesive unit. And with that in itself, it's sort of a challenge finding someone who being able to identify your strengths and your weaknesses, and then finding someone who would be able to complement your weaknesses so that you can both be a cohesive team and work together on the startup. So with regard to the challenges faced, first of all, building a startup is not easy. We can, all three of us can attest to that. Sorry. This is like our
Easy
fourth or
compliment.
fifth startup. It's like our fourth or fifth startup that we've tried to build, and this is the one which is showing the most success so far. And yeah, you need to have resilience first of all. You can't just be someone who any small thing you just want to give up. Like the people who stick around the longest are the ones who make it through. You can't just want to give up any chance you get, any small hiccup you get, just want to end it all and just end your journey and call it quits. So yeah, it's a matter of having resilience, finding co-founders who complement your weaknesses, and yeah, that's what I can say about that.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's interesting. And
So
okay, you
yeah,
can go on, Malaysia.
yeah. Something I would say is you know something, a quote which has come to my mind and it's been stuck. I'm going to have it put with my name, saying it. Doing every business idea is brilliant until you have to convince someone to give you their money, and that's the truth. Because of LendBox, I don't know about the other guys, but I get a lot of people who come to me and they'll tell me, this is an idea. And so people have certain assumptions. They'll make an assumption, for example, that no, we'll target UNZA first, and then we'll get, like, really quickly, we'll get 10% of the UNZA population to be giving us money. That's 20 kwacha each from like 1,800 people. We'll be making 200,000 in a month, right? Those assumptions are not real, right? And so a lot of people go in with I mean, it's helpful to be optimistic, but certain assumptions might hurt you, because it's hard to convince someone to give you money, right? And so yeah, that I would say is the first part, a heavy assumption, and also willingness to go out and sell. Selling, to be honest, is a check on your pride. Yeah, it is. It is, because selling is humble, right? The other guy doesn't want.
I do agree with that.
You send him an SMS. We chat with Bundia about the number of people we've sent SMSs to. Hi, Bundia. The number of emails.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So yeah, that's a real check. But anyway.
Yeah, because when you're building a solution like we are, people don't realize they're having the problem. So even selling the idea to them, it's you can't really convince them. Why would they pay for something that they don't realize they need? So it's been pretty difficult, I think. Yeah, but I think resilience, as you have mentioned, is just what you need for growth. Yeah. What did you call that's part in the business that we're in?
I can't remember. Oh, the trench before the. I can't remember exactly. But anyway.
Yeah, but sort of like the deep.
It's deep though.
Yeah. So just in this phase where we just have to commit more, and try to upskill ourselves, and because we believe in the product, we believe in the business. Other than that,
and we're really growing.
Yeah, we're growing. Yeah, still keep growing.
Yeah, that's
interesting. The first part.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, thanks. Yeah, so that's interesting. And one question. So I know Mundia has brought out the part of learning to know when to give up, and then the self-awareness as well, and how you had other projects in the past. Have you at any point integrated certain approaches like empathy design, where you sort of walk through use cases of what your end users might want, and then trying to explore your solution further, and how has that helped you refine your solutions over the past few startups that you've actually implemented and maybe eventually let go?
So I can answer that question, but not probably not the specifics that you want. So each startup that we get to build, that we've gotten to build has been um, there's a phrase we use internally. We don't call it L for losses, we call it L for lessons. So each startup that we've built and failed at has been a lesson for the next consecutive startup. From the previous startup, we get to learn new things that we didn't know. We get to build new networks that we get to go with um, the new knowledge and the networks to the next startup. And yeah, in terms of the specific question you've asked of whether we get to do use check for use cases and all that. So I'll give an example of how the very first startup we tried, we did zero research whatsoever. We just had assumptions that this is what people want and people will pay for it, and we built it. And yeah, that failed. We got to learn that we need to do some proper analysis here, some SWOT analysis, figure out the total addressable market, the sum, all that sort of analysis stuff. So got to go with those lessons into the next startup, um, and new lessons let there, take them into the next startup, which eventually failed. Then the next with all the networks and more lessons, and yeah, still here we are with LendBox with all the track record of the previous failed startups, which were else for lessons, not losses, and other networks that came with. So yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. And how's it been like balancing a business and school and keeping those grades high? Like, what's been your priority, and yeah, how do you balance your day with it too?
Managing school and work has really been a struggle for me personally in terms of uh, keeping up the performance that I initially wanted to graduate with. The dream, graduating with a distinction, get a really good job and everything. But throughout my years at school here in university, it's really been things have really changed, especially this year. With COVID and all, those the whole online learning.
I'm going to say something quite controversial, but I'm not a fan of school. Never been. Never. There's this Zambian dream of go through high school, go to university, graduate, get a nice paying job, live out the rest of your life, get married, have kids, and move on. Yeah, that was never my dream. Because first off, the job market in Zambia is a bit shaky, I would say. So in terms of priorities, I honestly prioritize the startup more than school itself. There's this phrase from a movie called Super Pumped about the founder of Uber, where he prioritized Uber over everything. And he had this phrase where he would say, grow or die, where it's either his company grows or he dies. And that's the sort of attitude I'm sort of picking up in terms of running the startup. Either this startup grows and giving it my all and everything, even if it means putting school on the sideline for a while, then so be it. Then so be it. Yeah.
For me, I don't know if it's okay. I've really lowered my ambitions for this year. Yeah, I don't know if it's the concept of an epiphany where you come to realize something. I don't know if it's because of that or just me seeing it as no longer possible. But I think what we're doing at LendBox, even for the prospects of my future and for the impact and the further opportunity it could create is much more valuable than the first letter on my graduation grade being a D, right? I think, yeah. So yeah, my ambitions have genuinely reduced. I think right now I I'll I'll graduate without above average, yeah, but not yeah. Anyway, but Lenbox right now, honestly, is
Main
a priority
priority.
for me. Yeah.
Okay, that's actually a very interesting perspective, and yeah, I guess it's something that you don't get to hear every day. from your own opinion, where do you think, like maybe the academic system doesn't, I mean, like, doesn't fulfill, like, in terms of preparing you with necessary skills to both innovate and also just excel in other areas other than just like formal employment?
Would probably go on and on about how the system in quotation marks is rigged. But yeah, let's not have that conversation because this podcast will end up going for hours and hours. But
We don't mind. You can still spill a bit.
the way the system is set up right now is you they pass you through university, teach you a couple skills here and there. Then throughout university, you're trained to uh, work for someone else, to get a job somewhere, like get a job at a big company. That's literally lecturers tell us that work hard so that you get a job at Zamtel or Airtel or something. They don't tell you um, learn how to code so that you build your own startup. They literally do not say that. They say learn how to code so that you can go work for Zamtel or Airtel or something. And there's need for there to be a bit more entrepreneurship teachings, like a couple entrepreneurship courses or something entrepreneurship wise, so that you can sort of open up students' minds and be like, okay, getting a job is not the only route I can take. There's so many other entrepreneurship routes I can take. Don't get me wrong though, the lessons and skills taught in school are useful. Just a couple entrepreneurship drilling in people's mindsets could really take them a long way.
All
Yeah.
right, thanks.
I think I really agree with India, especially on his last point, right? I think generally the truth is getting a job is safer, right?
Yeah.
Um, it's definitely safer. Um, though it depends. I think most people, and I hope it didn't sound condescending or anything, but most people just can't um start businesses. It's just a lot of risk, right? For and also it 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 takes a lot of durability. It's a lot safer, especially if you have people who are depending on you or things like that to go out into getting a job. Though, as Mundia said there, I think some entrepreneurship training and also teaching people the possibility that your solution can become a business, right? Like that idea you have can become a business so long people can pay for it. Yeah, if it's helping people and it's people who can pay. So yeah, I think that going into people's minds would be very something. Yeah.
Do you have any mentors or people who inspired you to start this up, or it was purely your own making?
Actually, brief background on like how we actually got into the entrepreneurial space. There was something that was being hosted by an association, right? Unza Baker, yeah, in Unza here. That was encouraging people to come up with startup ideas and really launch it. Actually, actually, the same program was called Launch It. I think it ran for a span of 8 weeks. Yeah, somewhere there. So from there, I think that's when it actually got the feel of how it would be. And I think for me personally, that's what brought up this my mentality of being entrepreneur. Mundia prior to that was already into it. Malaysia as well. He had a business. I'm sure he'll talk about it.
I won't. Okay, but for the mentor thing, one thing I've learned, right, and I think this applies for almost everything. You know, you start first, and then the things come. Like, if you want to become a really good guitar player, right? You don't start by finding a mentor to teach you the guitar. You start by wanting to learn you start by teaching the guitar, learning the guitar, sorry. Yeah. And then with that, by proving someone that you're already on the journey, then you're much more likely to convince a talented person to invest their time in you, because people's time is valuable, right? Some of the
Yeah.
people we've gotten to meet in Zambia's business circles, just amazing opportunities, right? But it's only after, right? Yeah, that's
All
one thing.
right.
So yeah, the mentors come after.
Okay. What would you say are the biggest mistakes you have made along the way?
That's a hard question.
I don't think so.
I
we've
know.
made a
I
lot.
don't
We've
think
made a
so.
lot of mistakes,
Yes,
but
I
we're,
can think
we're
of one.
gauging them. Which ones are the biggest ones?
Uh,
I mean, there's obviously something major, and
the
maybe it
revenue
is
model.
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, I think we were not solid on how we wanted our revenue model to be, and that I think set us back a bit. I feel because we changed it I think 3 times.
Yeah.
Yeah, 3 times, and that was really yeah.
Yeah, but I view it as a lesson.
But it
Yeah,
was a mistake.
Oh yeah,
it's an
but
L. It's an L for a lesson, not a loss.
I don't know. I can't think of anything else, but yeah, for me, I think that's one I actually noticed most, like set us back a bit. Like we call it a
a
big
couple
mistake.
a couple mistakes we've made which have really impacted the business is in terms of our hiring process. Before when beginning staff we're desperate for people to come work for us, and so we're not really filtering through the correct procedures in terms of interviews and assessments and all that. We're just literally hiring on the spot, and that sort of came back to bite us. But we did get a chance to correct everything, and well, definitely back on track. So
Oh,
that in my
okay.
opinion is the biggest mistake we made in terms of not refining our hiring process as early as possible.
Okay. So what improvements have you made from your hiring process since then? And what would you think would be your new criteria for someone to join your space?
So we now have procedures, written down procedures and manuals for how we do our hiring interviews, how we seek out potential hires, and technical assessments, as well as the oral one-on-one interviews with the prospects. And we also pass it through because we have a network of advisors. These are people who are skilled in market head. Our investor Adenia Labs provided us with a network of really talented people who are large players in the marketing industry. In the tech space, we have in the tech space we have advisors from Kenya, so we get to pass through the prospects through those networks that we have, and they also get to do their own filtering and till we get to the final stage where we get to approve whether we get to hire the person or not.
Okay, so now it's completely formal,
Yeah,
whereas before it was highly informal.
yeah.
Okay.
We literally look at you and be like, "You look like you can do this job. You're hired."
Okay, I see.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask, so when you talked about the revenue model and the recruitment part, I was interested. I think we haven't heard much about your target audience. I know Malaysia talked about how you would not just pick university students only. Did you have any challenges identifying your target market, and who are your current target market, and how do you make sure you don't veer off and get maybe distracted by other potential uh, new markets that are coming up, but that those are not maybe core to your business values, to your business agenda?
Uh, so you said, if I got you right, did you say identifying or catching our target market? Because
Okay, so let me just rephrase that. So yeah, so Kima was asking about your mistakes and was maybe finding your target market one of maybe other mistakes that you encountered, and how have you worked your way around that in simple terms.
Oh, okay. So, okay, the finding there was a bit ambiguous. I don't know if you meant identifying them as in choosing them, or finding them as in literally finding, okay, now this guy can be my customer, knowing that he fits in this group. But I'll go for the easier one for us to answer. So our target market being lenders in the beginning, especially lenders at the scale we were in our lending business, micro lenders who are very small and perhaps a team. For those, the harder part is convincing them to try out your platform. Yeah, finding them is a lot easier. You know, you search Facebooks, there are loans groups and things like that. So yeah, finding them, we could find a number, but convincing people to try is a
Mm-hmm.
real fight. Yeah,
Okay.
was a real
Um,
fight.
all right, but I mean, so did you narrow down further to say our market will be fellow students, or our market will be government workers, or our market will be bankers? Did you fine tune to that point, or we just considered every micro uh, borrower to be your target market?
No, we didn't fine tune to that point. Generally, I don't know how you do it. Maybe when you guys are analyzing a target for your for the podcast, for example, right? What you want to do is generally all these people, regardless of where they are, if they're operating the same business, the circumstances in a certain aspect are very similar. So when the institutions are larger, people have many more means of assuring their risk, right? But for smaller ones, where it's the micro lenders, not microfins, just micro lenders, they either do collateral or pay slips. That's all. Whether they're a student, whether they're in staff here, if it's like his side business and he's a lender like that, he's either going to collect collateral or be a pay slip lender. So I think making your market small to that level is perhaps not useful. Maybe in case of a persona, but you want to make multiple personas for you to target, and either way, defining it to that level, I don't know if it's useful
To,
unless it was
sh-
interest based. So maybe the guys would have different opinions.
to shed a bit more light, so basically, um, with the backstory I gave, saying we had a loans business and faced challenges, so we got to identify what the challenges were, because we faced them firsthand, and then we built a solution for those challenges and looked out in the market like which set of uh, which demographic faces these exact same challenges, who can use our solution, and hence why you get to narrow down um, your target demographic based on the solution you're providing, because they're facing the challenges and you're providing the solution, and whether they're also willing to pay for that solution you're providing. Because at the end of the day, you don't want to provide a solution to people who are not willing to pay for your solution, because you just be running a charity type thing. And you're trying to run a company, and companies need revenue, so people have to pay. So yeah.
All right. Okay. So you kept it open-ended at the beginning, so that at least you don't miss out on any potential like business paths within lending. Okay. So Kima, I think so. There's some questions that Tumelo had dropped in the chat before he dropped off. Maybe we can just run through
Oh,
some
and
of
he sends
those.
his apologies for his failure to come for the second recording.
Yeah.
That sucks. I was really looking forward to chatting with you.
Yeah, he had an emergency. So let me just run through some of them. Then we see which ones. Maybe if we can just answer one or two from there, and then yeah, I'll hand over back to Kim. So Okay, so I think for most of them, like how, yeah, like what advice you'd give other businesses, we've tackled that. Okay, so yeah, so he asked an interesting question about your KPIs. So like, what are your KPIs and what do you use to measure, like your business success? And before you answer that, there's a second question, um, like how do you craft a great mission statement? So if you could speak to these two.
So I think generally, um, I think we have our own KPIs separately, but they work for the good of the business. For example, uh, because I lead sales, one of mine is to get us at least 15% growth week on week, right? That's the target in terms of revenue. So for usership, it's one thing, but I think that's a number I'm starting to care less and less about. But growth, the number of people who start to pay, right? 15% week on week, that's the goal. That gives us, because it's compounding, it gives us more than 70-80% on a month, and that's good. Yeah, yeah, that's one.
You've talked about the KPIs, the growth one. So we actually separated them into three categories. We have product KPIs, we have marketing KPIs, and business development KPIs. So the ones, Malaysia, you mentioned are the marketing KPIs, and then we also have product KPIs, which deal with um, the software itself, because we have web portal, Android and iOS application, which we're adding new features to them literally week on week, and we have KPIs to monitor um, if we're moving on track with our roadmap. Then we also have business development KPIs, and yeah, that's
All right.
basically yeah.
Is there anything special you're working on now, or is there something that we should look forward to
Something
from?
massive. Working on
Okay.
something massive that we're launching on the 30th, which is Saturday.
This
I
is
don't know.
huge.
I don't know. I don't know if your podcast will be out by then, but yeah, 30th August. Sorry, 30th July. We'll be launching it. So right now the platform is only for lenders to manage their loans business. But on the 30th of July, we'll be launching the borrower app, which is where borrowers access can have easy access to lenders through the LendBox application and get a loan right there and then inside the LendBox application from any lender of their choice who offers them the best rates. So yeah,
Okay.
that's what we're launching on the 30th of July.
Yeah,
Look
that's
forward to
very
seeing
interesting.
that.
Make sure you
Sounds
support us, guys,
exciting.
on your social media, wherever you have a presence, as individuals and the podcast.
I mean, yeah, we have think Joseph, we can have that. They can have access to share their links or
Yeah. I think you can drop
their
us the links, then
resources,
we can add them in the description of the
the video.
of the YouTube post once we post the recording.
All
Oh,
right.
okay.
Don't worry. This video might be slow at first, but in 12 years, when we're all filthy rich, and you guys too, someone is going to come watch.
Definitely,
Like,
though.
oh
Yeah,
snap!
that's a good part about keeping like a digital record. So yeah, you can always like trace your roots where you started from. Any final words, maybe to your customers out there, or other like other people that are trying to follow your steps in setting up their own businesses?
Okay, so my final words to um, entrepreneurs out there, people who have startup ideas and are thinking of how to start, where to start, wanting to hire a team and whatnot. My advice to them is just start. Like whatever it is that you can do, just start. Like Malaj was telling me something the other day about the 5-minute rule, where if you want to do something, just do it for 5 minutes, and if you still don't want to do it after that, then you can drop it. So if you know how to write code, just start writing any code for your startup. If you don't know how to write code, you create a business plan. Create the do some analysis, do some SWOT analysis. Just start your startup. It doesn't matter. Don't doubt yourself and all that. So yeah.
For me, I'll say something to our customers or to be customers. If you're an innovator, you want to do something good, you want to control your finances, come to LendBox. It's the best place to borrow, lend, and also if you are a talented person who wants to be part of something that's growing, that's innovative, that's open to ideas, send us your CV. We might not be taking people now, but we'll look through them when we are.
Okay, interesting. Kaputo, would you like to say something to the lenders, the potential lenders out there?
Potential lenders. I think for our target market being like a pan-African solution right now, most people might be scared of technology and maybe switching over to like from the conventional using their books to record everything to systems like ours. I think maybe the advice I can give is they can just make the step. Everything is really going digital. Maybe by the time 5 years from now, everyone might have an iPhone 13. Nah. But yeah, people really get scared of trying out new things because even we've experienced some pain points also in terms of getting people to actually try software. Yeah, so my advice is just to let them try something. And LendBox is free. You can try it out until you want to expand and get more features from us.
All right. That's really good advice. I guess we can close now. Joseph, is there anything else you have?
Nothing from my end, except thanking everyone, Mundia, Kaputo, Malaisio, for joining us today. And
Thank you
thanks
very
to
much,
Kim and
guys.
Milo.
It's been
For
a
the
pleasure.
time, and we
Thank
hope
you.
to hear from the company or see the company explode sometime soon, and hope you grow and continue doing whatever that it is that is keeping you afloat. All
Thank you.
right. It's been a pleasure.
My pleasure.
Awesome.
Night.